Welcome to today's video. I'm Andreas Hanuja and I love Mesh. This is the fourth video of our Meshmas behind the scenes series. If you missed the previous parts, check them out in our I Love Mesh community, because they provide you the foundation for this video. In this series we explain you the technical background of our winter wonderland, beginning simple interactions right to the most advanced components. Today we look at how we motivate people to explore the surroundings in Winter Wonderland. We have implemented a small local minigame that each participant can play on their own. There are lots of presents in the area already part of our environment art. Some of them occasionally move because they are enchanted. When we collect them, we are rewarded with a small poem that continues over the presents. When we have found all the presents, we are finally allowed to fly on Santa's sledge. Participants who find such secrets feel special and want to show them to their friends. These details make the difference between a lively wonderland and a boring conference room. Let us now first check how the logic is structured before we dive into Unity and visual scripting. We have two parties that communicate. Here on the left are our individual presents, while on the right is the so-called poem manager. While the presents match the actual presents in our scene, the virtual entity of the poem manager keeps track of the state of the game. Each present has two entry points for logic: on interval, which is used for making the presents move occasionally, and on selected, which is used when the presents are finally clicked. Thus, on interval is triggering the move animation, while on select is triggering a call to the poem manager to retrieve the corresponding poem. The poem manager first has to count these calls to keep track of which part of the poem is required. Then it searches the correct part of the poem. Finally, it gives back the text to the present, which can now play an animation for opening the envelope while writing the text to the letter. This logical structure is now exactly translated in Mesh. While it might look a bit complicated in the first moment, having these two virtual parties, like presents and a manager who keeps track of everything, is the basis for many mini-games. Let us now check our Unity hierarchy. The parent object holds our manager script, while also having a local script scope attached. You already know this component from the 3D slider tutorial. In this application, the whole minigame should be local, so both scripts need such a component. Our individual presents have different variable references assigned: an animator for playing the movement animations, an audio source to play a sound when opening the presents, and a reference to the TextMesh Pro text for the poem. Our script machine holds the reference to our visual script, while we have also the usual mesh interactable setup component attached. Let's inspect the animator. It's quite simple. It includes individual trigger variables for all possible state transitions. These animations are connected by transitions, who are always exactly restricted by one of the trigger variables. Other presents are structured exactly the same. Note that they are all children of the manager object in the hierarchy, and all have a local script scope component. So now let us look into the visual scripts. Our script is structured as the explanation slide. In addition, we have a local bool variable that stores whether the present was already clicked. Let's zoom in to our onInterval event. This event was triggering the occasional move animations. We configured the interval to 1 second, and then we use a range node to retrieve a random number. Depending on the number, we play 1 out of 3 different move animations for some variety, or none at all. Let us now look how the onSelect logic is implemented. By using our boolean variable, we check that this is the first interaction with the present. Then we write to the boolean variable to disable the interaction in the future. Then we trigger an event in our parent script. This is new to our tutorial series. The custom event trigger node lets you specify an event by a name and then takes a variable amount of arguments that can be passed to it. In our case, we pass over the reference to this visual script to allow a callback for the parent script. Let us continue at the parent script. We enter right here. The first thing we are doing is already calling back the present. For this, we check out the list of poems and take the right entry. After this call, we increment our counter for the next present. That was quick, let's return to our present. The event triggers this node right here, so we continue our logic and write the text to the reference TextMesh Pro text. Then we play back an open animation while also playing the open sound. Finally, our letter animator plays the open envelope animation. Let us inspect the script flow while being in play mode. First, we see how occasionally different animations are triggered. Whenever this happens, the middle present plays the particular animation. Let's check out what happens when we click on a present. Let me pause the video here, because otherwise it's too quick to follow. We see that our event on the left was triggered, called the parent event, which then returned immediately to our event at the right. Let us open the other presents. That was already it with part 4 of our Meshmas Behind the Scenes series. The next episode will be already our grand final, so stay tuned to see how we utilized cannons to shoot Meshmas decoration on our Meshmas tree.